So I saw another article, and I wanted to touch this because I already made a video about this. But this was another take on this, and it had some different quotes. I haven't read this because I want to go in fresh, but it's from the Daily Mail. Science fiction writer claims the Lord of the Rings series is racist because it discriminates against orcs. Science fiction author Andy Duncan criticized Tolkien's depiction of orcs. He told a US podcast demonizing races had dire consequences for society. Tolkien was known for criticism of Nazi Germany regime in 1930s. The Lord of the Rings series has been branded racist by a science fiction writer who claims orcs are discriminated against and written as inferior. American author Andy Duncan said British author J.R.R. Tolkien depicted evil creatures such as orcs as worse than others, and said that this had dire consequences for society. Okay, how? He does realize this is fiction, right? Oh, okay. The criticism comes despite Tolkien being known as a fierce critic of racism, particularly of the Nazi Germany regime in the 1930s and 40s. But Duncan told Podcast Geek's Guide to the Galaxy, run by Wired magazine, it's hard to miss the repeated notion in Tolkien that some races are just worse than others, or that some people are just worse than others. But that is, that really depends on what you mean by that, really. So sorry, just had to pause there because my cat was making noise. But yeah, what does he really mean? With some races are just worse than others. That is a really vague term. The races are different in the human species, and some races are better doing at something than others. There might even suggest some might be smarter than others, or some might be more athletic than others. Some might be more practical than others. There are some differences between the human races. So in objective terms, some races uh, might be better at some things than others. So that is actually a false statement, in what we are saying. And this seems to me, in the long term, if you embrace this too much, it has dire consequences for yourself and for society. In the novels, orcs are ugly, cannibalistic creatures who have a thirst for murder and are used as soldiers by their evil Dark Lord Sauron. Duncan has previously written a parody set in Tolkien's Middle Earth universe called Senator Bilbo. Yeah, we talked about that last time. Speaking about this story to the podcast, yeah, I can easily imagine that a lot of these people that were doing the Dark Lord's bidding were doing so out of simple self-preservation and so forth. A lot of these creatures that were raised out of the earth had not great deal of choice in the matter and of what to do. I have this very complicated sense of the politics of all that. Duncan also compared the depiction of orcs to the modern day refugees. Yeah, of course he does, and appeared to criticize President Donald Trump over the situation at the Mexican border. Yeah, because why not? He added that it is easier to demonize one's opponent than to try to understand them and to understand the complex forces that are leading, for example, refugees trying to cross the southern border of the US legally or illegally. Well, if you're trying to cross the border illegally, you're a criminal, aren't you? It's easier to build walls and demonize them as scum. Yeah, because they're coming in illegally. Tolkien has previously been criticized for racism by yeah, of course, because it's 2018, current year and all, so he has to be accused of racism, including Dr. Steven Shapiro, a cultural studies academic at the University of Warwick in 2003. Yeah, had to be something like that. Why not just say gender studies? He wrote, put simply, Tolkien's good guys are white and the bad guys are black, slant-eyed, unattractive, inarticulate, and psychologically underdeveloped. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know, he was writing from the British side, and he's depicting Germans. That the orcs are supposed to be Germans. Trolls could even be German tanks. How are you this stupid? And they're so they're deformed because it's supposed to be a manifestation of evil. Oh my god. But the criticism was slammed by other experts, including the Tolkien Society, who said that the author detested racism. Yeah, exactly. Tolkien, who once described Hitler as a ruddy little ignoramus. See, there you go. Previously argued with Berlin publishing house Rüten and Learning in 1938 over publishing German language version of The Hobbit, when the firm asked him to prove his Aryan heritage. See, there you go right there. Narrative destroyed. Tolkien wrote 2 letters in response, one ignoring the question and the other confronting the issue head on. In the second he wrote, if I am to understand that you are inquiring whether I'm of Jewish origin, I can only reply that I regret that I appear to have no ancestry of that gifted people. My great-great-grandfather came to England in the 18th century from Germany. The main part of my descent is therefore purely English, and I am an English subject, which should be sufficient. I've been accustomed, nonetheless, to regard my German name with pride, and continue to do so throughout the period of the late regrettable war, in which I served in the English army. I cannot, however, forbear to comment that if impertinent and irrelevant inquiries of this sort are to become the rule in matters of literature, then the time is not far distant when a German name will no longer be a source of pride. Yeah, that is actually a very well written article, I have to say. Balanced, takes both sides, and actually quoted Tolkien himself, and actually debunked that like the entire this guy, he misses the entire goddamn point of what the Lord of the Rings and the entire universe Tolkien created. It is unbelievable that he's using the border situation in the U.S. It doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are, or what ideology or whatever. If you come over some border illegally, you're a criminal. And to use this as an argument, oh, we're racist, and therefore Tolkien is racist. You're projecting so hard right now to attack a guy who, of course, can't defend himself. That's what they did with Stan Lee. They couldn't say this while he was alive. AJ Plus and all these horrible, sad people that attack people who can't defend themselves, who have decried racism on various occasions, and lived in times that were much worse than these times, and Tolkien was orcs aren't even human. How can you be racist? And it's fiction. Yeah, I'm just gonna punch the walls or something, because this is so ridiculous. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.